Over the past 100 years, Dickson Mounds, located in Lewiston, Illinois, has been home to discovery, education, and even controversy. But long before it was named Dickson Mounds, this massive heap of earth was constructed by the ancient Native Americans to bury and honor their dead. Today, Calpulli Ocelotl-Cihuacoatl visits Dickson Mounds to honor their ancestors through ceremony, just as the natives of this land once did thousands of years ago. Between 800 CE and 1250 CE, the area surrounding Dickson Mounds was home to a flourishing community of indigenous people. Although they did not leave any written record of their lives, clues to their culture have been discovered, including tools, artifacts, and physical remains. In 1927, Don Dickson, a local chiropractor, discovered bones within a mound when he and his family were planting an apple orchard in his father's backyard. Instead of removing the bones, Dickson removed only the dirt. He carefully unearthed over 200 burials and left them in place. Wanting to share his discoveries with the world, Dickson covered his excavation site with a tent, which was later replaced with a building that he ran as a private museum. In 1945, the Dickson family sold the site to the state of Illinois, and in 1972, the current facility was erected. The museum showcased the life cycles and culture of indigenous people living in the Illinois River Valley over a period of 12,000 years. At the center of the museum was a burial pit displaying the skeletons of the native people. This exhibit came under controversy in the early 90s because of growing national concern over the public display of Native American remains. Certain laws were put in place to protect Native American burial sites and prohibit skeletal displays. Dickson Mounds was failing to uphold these laws, which led to tensions peaking on April 6, 1991. A group of indigenous rights activists came to Dickson Mounds for a peaceful ceremony to honor the dead. The situation escalated when members of the group entered the pit and started covering the exposed remains.
You swore to uphold the law of this country, now do it!
A year later, the museum was closed to the public and underwent renovations. During this time, the remains were covered and the souls were finally left to rest in peace. Upon the museum's reopening in 1994, the gravesite was replaced with an exhibit honoring the spiritual beliefs and traditions of the indigenous people who are buried below. Entering, you can feel the souls of those that lived and died on this land. The energy in this room is powerful and sacred. They have estimated that there are at least 3,000 more burials at this site, making it one of the largest burial mounds in the United States. More recently, members of Dickson Mounds Museum are working towards true Native reparations with indigenous groups, opening their doors for discussion to begin to heal relationships and keep this land sacred. Samantha is a member of the International Indigenous Youth Council, a group that aims to create positive change in communities through education, spiritual practices, and civic engagement.
Native reparations are important to me because there have been centuries where our peoples have been pillaged, killed, brutalized, and stolen from to benefit people who oppress us and then dehumanize us. And we haven't seen reparations or hardly an acknowledgement of those brutalities that have happened to us for the past over 500 years. So reparations are important to me because that is one step in acknowledging the history and the legacy of colonization on our peoples, on our communities, and on the land. It's important to me that we honor this land, that we take it seriously, that our remains are not to be displayed for consumption, that our remains are sacred, that our remains deserve to be left at peace, and that we as a people and our ancestors have gone through so much trauma through colonization and so much violence that the least we could do is just honor them and leave them alone.
Calpulli Ocelotl-Cihuacoatl has come to Dickson Mounds to honor their ancestors. The practice of honoring ancestors carries significant importance in their culture. They are here performing a traditional healing ceremony for the spirits of this land. The intention of this ceremony is to bring peace to any unrested souls. Rosa has received these traditions from her ancestors and has kept the traditions alive through her Calpulli.
For me, it's important to honor my ancestors because thanks to them, I'm here in this land. Thanks to my father and my mother that they already passed away. And all the generations back, that knowledge, maybe I don't have that much, but I believe that through them, I have that knowledge. The dance, for me, is a sacred circle where I can pray through dancing, through movements, through singing, following the beat of the drums. And for me, that sacred circle reflects the universe. Honoring our ancestors is making me feel more humble because I understand that for me to be here, they have to pass through a lot and many generations in the back, so it makes me feel more humble and more love for them.
It's important to me to celebrate ancestors because they sacrificed so much for me to be here. There's so many sacrifices and there's so much power that has gotten me to where I am today, and I want to honor them, and to honor them means to hold them as importance and with reverence in my life.
It is important to honor those that have walked this earth before us. We must respect the indigenous people that first tended to the land that we now call home. When we look deeper into our own lives, we start to see the imprints that our ancestors left behind. We must acknowledge that the United States was built upon pain and violence, but we must choose to continuously focus on mending these wounds. Like Grandmother Spider reweaving her broken web, let us reweave the story of this country. When we recognize that this country is one big tapestry, woven together by many colors, cultures, and beliefs, only then can we truly appreciate its beauty.
Seneko kakona kena anshi. I dance to awaken my ancestors.
I dance for keeping my ancestors alive and for my future generation.
Que ella nos está enseñando todo sobre nuestros ancestros, so nosotros danzamos para honrar a nuestros ancestros.
I dance for Yo danzo para estar en un balance con la tierra y con mi espíritu. También danzo para que nuestras tradiciones no se pierdan y poderlas transmitir a las nuevas generaciones.
Hola, soy Adriana, danzo para honrar mi tradición y mis ancestros. Gracias.
We dance for our future generations.
Little ones.
I dance for my ancestors. I dance for my semillas y my raíces. So the seeds, the children to come that have yet to be here. And I dance for the roots that I come from that have died for me to be here, that are in the ground for me to be here.
I dance to honor my ancestors and live this life for my kids.